Alright, so in this video, we have one of the most unhinged couples I've seen on the internet recently that has some kind of following. This girl, Isabella Moody, who's like a Christian conservative troll influencer person, and her husband, Josiah, who looks and acts like he's about 14 years old. And these two are known for their controversial parenting decisions. Like, basically, they use their baby daughter to troll on Twitter for engagement. Like, they taught her to say the N-word and uploaded the video to Twitter like they were proud parents. I mean, imagine being that depraved where your daughter's second word is the N-word, and imagine wanting to upload that to the internet and be known for that.
That's good. The baby notices patterns.
It was her second word.
Yeah, it was dad and
I don't make the
W
rules.
baby.
That's what she said first.
And unfortunately, this wasn't the first time they're involved in some controversy. Like, also when Isabella was interviewing John Zerka, who, if you're not familiar with, is known for being a degenerate creep. Her husband half-jokingly offered their daughter to him.
They throw their fist up to him. By the way, my husband's texting me, and he said that he wanted me to tell you that we will have our daughter ready for you as a virgin.
What the fuck? You guys are crazy, dude.
So then they got some backlash for it and addressed it on Sneako's stream. And at first they're like, it's a joke, it's a joke. But then her husband starts to kind of justify it by saying it's just like an arranged marriage and that's always been a thing. And they're going to make sure that they choose who their daughter's going to marry.
nobody understands. Zerka's all depressed and he's sad boy, come down off the coke, and he's all, yeah, no, I'm not gonna marry a girl. I'm so sad.
They're all whores.
They're all whores,
Yeah.
whatever. I text her. I say, hey, tell him we're raising a daughter that will have an arranged marriage and she'll be pure. She'll be a virgin. This is how shit was run for eternity. Arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna choose who you marry? You're fucking stupid. No, we choose who you marry.
By the way, it was still a joke, and our daughter's going to be pure until she's married because
Yeah.
she's not going to be raised as a whore like every other girl in our society.
And it's crazy because these two will do all this degenerate shit with their kid and then act like they're setting the standard for how to be responsible parents. You know, it's like their kid is just some kind of experiment to them. Like, also, of course, Isabella's going to be homeschooling her, and she said she's just going to be focused on training her to be a good submissive wife one day.
Fortunately, it's a girl, so she won't, but she'll be submitting to a husband.
It's a girl. Okay, a girl. You gotta reset. You gotta redo this.
Yeah, I know. She's not going to be a leader, but my husband and I are like making sure that we are training her literally to be a perfect wife. Like, that's what we're training our daughter to.
What?
No, she won't. She's getting homeschooled by me.
Oh, the whole 18?
Yeah, she's not going to school ever.
You guys are 100% dead set homeschooling?
Yes, dead set homeschooling. Yeah, my husband made that decision. Well,
Crazy.
she's a woman, though. She doesn't need to be rich. We're just going to be training her to be a good wife. I mean, she'll still get the proper education, but we're also saying, like, my husband was saying the other day, I don't want her exposed to TV because how cool would it be if she gets married one day and she's never seen a TV show, but her husband gets to show her, like, all of his favorite TV shows, all of his favorite movies, and she just loves it. And because, you know, men want an unexperienced woman.
Yes, yes.
And it's funny she says men want an inexperienced woman because apparently that wasn't the case for her husband. I mean, he's like 5 or 6 years younger than her, and I think he was like right out of high school when they first started dating, and she was the first person he was ever with. But her, on the other hand, she already had a successful career going. She worked for a few different conservative media companies and had dated around a little bit. You know, she admits to having a phase in college. So compared to her husband, she has much more experience, and I don't think you'd call this a traditional relationship. And you can tell it's not just by how insecure he is about it and how he's always trying to act like he's the one running things. I mean, sometimes he'll co-host her show with her, and you can tell he's always trying to assert his dominance and act like he's the one in control in the relationship. And it just seems like he's overcompensating because that's probably not actually the case. So whenever he's on her show, he always tries to find a way to lecture her about something or argue with her and make her look like an idiot and put her in her place. And it just seems so pathetic, especially because his wife just goes along with it almost in a patronizing way. Like, she's thinking, don't worry, you're the man in the relationship. It's okay. I'm just some stupid woman. You know, like, you could tell she's always scared of accidentally emasculating him, which just makes it even more embarrassing for him because he tries to act like he's the dominant one in their relationship. But this just makes him look like an insecure toddler throwing a temper tantrum, and his wife always lets him have his way so he can feel like he's a real man. Like, this happened when they're talking about that speech from the Kansas City Chiefs kicker where he's talking about how women would be happier if they pursued a family over a career. And at first Isabella's like, yeah, he's completely correct. And you would think her husband would be happy to hear that, but instead he found something wrong with it, and he's like, no, he sounds stupid. What is he talking about? He's giving his wife way too much credit for his success. So then, of course, Isabel's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I agree with you. I was just talking about the overall message, but this guy is definitely a simp. And then she starts making fun of him for tearing up while he's talking about his wife, and she insinuates that he's not a real man because of that, and he might be gay or his wife might be cheating on him. And then her husband gets all offended by that. So this whole thing is just so ridiculous.
Because a girl I met in band class back in middle school converted to the faith,
Yeah,
become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even see the speech, to be honest. That's my first time seeing it.
same.
And this is what's got everybody all pissed off.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
Obviously, and what he's saying is correct. Women.
What he's saying is not correct. That's what that's why that's also like stupid, because he's one of, he's a great NFL player because of his wife.
Oh yeah, well that part's stupid.
Yeah, bro, come on. You're gonna give your credit to your wife, like, yeah, she's a helper, and it seems like she's a great helper, but she doesn't deserve all the credit. Simp.
Yeah, so I really meant that, telling women that they've been fed this lie and that they should be embracing being a homemaker and being moms and wives. I agree with that part, but I'm totally in agreement with you regarding the ending when he starts to tear up. Simp. I mean, and then giving all the glory to his wife.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was funny.
That makes me think that maybe, I don't know, this could be.
That makes you think that maybe he's what, gay?
Gay, maybe his wife cheats on him. She doesn't. I don't know.
Or his wife cheats on him?
I don't know. It just like.
What are you saying?
How do you respect a man who's going to go cry on stage about you?
He didn't cry. His voice cracked. He was getting emotional.
Okay, maybe
if
I'm
that
being
was
too
me,
harsh.
that means you cheat on me?
No.
That means you're cheating?
No.
Shut up. You're so stupid. That is ridiculous. No, quiet. Thank you. Now quiet, and we're going to put you in the hands, maid, and we're going to make you bow down before Jesus Christ. Christ is king. Now go do the dishes and get off this YouTube video. This is my YouTube channel now.
And I know he's kind of joking at the end there, but he does try to act like he's the one running things and controlling her social media, because he wants everybody to believe that he's the one in charge and she needs him. But it seems more like the opposite. I mean, she already had a career before him, and he's the one on her platform. And it seems like he's kind of trying to ride her coattails a little bit. I mean, I don't know what he does for work, but Isabella said he's home all day. And I heard a few rumors that he might be unemployed. Because also, it is kind of weird that she's still working. You'd think if this is really a traditional relationship, then she'd just be focused on taking care of the kid, which she originally said she'd be doing. She said, my husband works so I can be a stay-at-home mom and give our daughter the proper attention she needs. So I don't know what happened with that, because it seems like she still works full time and makes podcast appearances. Like recently she was on Tim Pool's podcast. So she's not a traditional stay-at-home mom, even though it sounds like she still does take care of the kid and cooks and cleans and takes care of her husband, who's basically like another kid. So it sounds like she basically does everything, which is just embarrassing for her husband, because I don't know what he provides. And she talked about it on Fresh and Fit. Like, she went over all the stuff she does, and it sounds like she's taking care of a child. Like she said, she cooks, cleans, and puts him to sleep every night, then wakes him up in the morning. And then she mentions what he does, and it's like nothing.
The most romantic thing, I'll just use my own marriage, for instance. Obviously, for a woman being able to cook and clean, but I'll give some more specific examples like what I do. I wake my husband up with a massage and coffee every single morning, and every single night I'm scratching his scalp and like giving him a back massage until he falls asleep. It's important that he falls asleep first. And I would say something that's romantic that he does for me, well, since I do all of the cooking, it's nice when he takes me out for dinner because it's like a little break and it's just special. And then also, even just while we're here in Miami, he's kind of like my little bodyguard, like making sure if there's any men walking by, he just like puts his arm around me and just making sure that I'm protected.
Wow. Fantastic. Wow. Okay. I like it.
You are blessed.
What about you?
And of course, Fresh and Fit, and I'm sure a lot of their fans are like, oh my God, she sounds amazing. But she's just way too much of a pick-me girl. And it seems like she says this stuff to get attention and make guys jealous, like Fresh and Fit here. I mean, you could tell she's just so desperate for attention, because basically her whole personality is her trying to act like she's the wife that every man would want. And she just tries way too hard, and it gets really cringy. And also, does a man really want his wife constantly bragging about how she does everything for him? You know, it's just kind of embarrassing, Because again, it sounds like he provides nothing, and his job is just to monitor her and tell her what to do and make sure she stays in line.
Would Lauren's take on the specific situation as it pertains to Steven Crowder and his wife or ex-wife? No.
Why? Why wouldn't you agree? Based off of what you know as a Christian and what that clip that they're talking about shows, why wouldn't you?
I don't think it's like emotionally abusive.
But the question is not whether or not it's emotionally abusive or not. The question is whether or not it's Christian or not. Because that's what this topic is about, in case you haven't been following along, Isabella.
You already thought.
This topic is about whether or not Lauren has the, if you do what you're supposed to do, whatever I tell you to do, because that's your job, is to submit, do it with a smile on your face. I don't care. And I wouldn't have let you leave. I would have, you would have had to eat whatever mean things I would have said. And then the job would have got done. And then afterwards, after the cooling down process, I would have, repented to God.
I feel like to young women, unironically, they need to find a man that's very misogynistic. If you at all want to have a guy that's going to like make you follow his frame, and you need to find a strong Christian man that's going to put you in your place, or else you're going to dominate the relationship. And when a woman dominates the relationship, it's destined for failure, because I see even how I was different, like in my previous relationship. I was dominating and I was such a bitch, like such a Jezebel. And, I wasn't always like a good wife or like this great, or even Christian. I used to be atheist, but he has completely transformed who I am and how I act, because he's such a strong Christian man, and he doesn't let me get by on things. He always will nitpick everything, because he's literally training me how to be a good Christian wife. You need to be trained. Women are bitches and they need to be trained. So that's my advice. Find a man that will train you. My husband, there's no way I could ever cheat. With I guess there's some sort of way, like you have to keep your guard up. But I stay at home. I'm not on social media. I'm with him all day, every day. I literally don't leave my house.
He does all on social media.
Yeah, sometimes he has me write tweets, but for the past month, he's been like, I don't want you on social media. Women should not be on social media. Just focus on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been doing. So he'll have me tweet some things, but he has all my logins.
Yeah, and you could tell her husband doesn't trust her at all and thinks the second she leaves the house, there's a good chance she'll cheat on him. So whenever she goes and does podcasts or interviews, I think he's always with her. And of course, he'd act like he's just protecting her, but he's more like her lapdog, which again is just embarrassing. Like during the Zerka interview, he's in the other room watching the stream in his cuck chair, desperately thinking of a way to get involved. He's messaging his wife to offer their daughter to him, so he's just doing whatever he can to feel like he's part of this. Because obviously he'd rather be doing the interview and have his wife cooking and cleaning and everything, but since he doesn't have enough clout, she needs to do it. But then at the end of the interview, he runs in there like a little kid and tells his mom or his wife to go make him a sandwich so he could talk to John for the last 5 minutes and act like he was part of the interview. So these two have a really strange relationship, but I think they pretty much deserve each other. It's just funny to watch. If they want to continue to embarrass themselves, I think they should go for it. It's hilarious. But it's just unfortunate they have a kid. It's kind of sad there's a kid involved, especially because Isabel has previously stated that she never wanted to have kids and she has no maternal instinct. And the whole trad wife thing is just kind of a grift. But now she'd probably say her husband changed her for the better and now she's a good mother. But it still seems like the whole thing is a grift for her and she just uses her baby as a prop. She taught her to say the N-word to go viral on Twitter. They offered her to John Zerka. Then they started a Twitter account for her, like a John Zerka baby Twitter account thing that I think they ended up deleting. But she definitely uses her baby for engagement on Twitter and to troll people and to rage bait. Also they'll take these family pictures and then put some caption like, gay people could never do this. So she can't just have a nice family moment. She has to use this to farm engagement on Twitter. That's how desperate she is. And then, of course, this just invites her kid to get a ton of hate in the comments, too. So I believe her when she said she has no maternal instinct.
So what's funny, news, I actually don't want kids. So this is the funny thing about my Twitter. I play the part of a trad wife, but I have no maternal instinct whatsoever at all. But if I were to have kids, I'm sure I would like them. So I understand that. I love animals. I act like they're my children. So I'm sure if I had a baby, I would feel the same way. but I have no like instinct in me to be like, I really want kids. And that's mostly because I want to be very selfish in my career. And I feel like kids need a stay-at-home mom. So I feel like it wouldn't be fair. But if I had a husband that really wanted kids and whatever, and if I ever got pregnant, I've never, you know, I'm not a child murderer, so I would have the kids. But I don't really have a maternal bone in my body. So my dad always says, you're way more of a guy than like my guy friends. Like I swear, I tweeted, I think a couple of days ago, you know, most of my guy friends, if not all of them, all the guys in my life are more emotional than me. I even say my dad's more emotional than me. I don't get emotional. So I really do feel like I'm a man trapped in a woman's body. So I'm going to come out as a tranny one day.
Yeah, so it's clear who's running things in their relationship, because also apparently when they first met, she wasn't really interested in him and he was simping for her, but she wouldn't give him much attention because she was busy with other guys. Like I heard quite a few rumors that she allegedly was sleeping around quite a bit in the conservative influencer space, but then eventually I guess her husband managed to lock her down.
And he would go over there all the time. He'd hang out at her place while she was actively fucking people that they were hanging out with as a group. So she'd be fucking his friend. He'd be there as a total simp. He was simping for ever. And in this interview, he even admits it, that for years he's been simping after this chick. He saw her on TikTok and he had to have her. But it just so happened that he was hanging out with people that already had her. So it's even more embarrassing.
Yeah, and if you're looking for somebody to be a trad wife, I don't know why you'd choose somebody who's 5 or 6 years older than you and has been around the block and has stated she has no maternal instinct and doesn't want to have kids. You know, it seems like she's the opposite of what he's looking for, but maybe he wanted a project or something, I don't know. But these two, I mean, it sounds like they just keep making each other worse. I mean, at one point, I think Isabella was taken a little more seriously, like she had more of a legit career. But now she's just a complete joke. You know, she's just an internet troll that has to embarrass herself for attention. Like, some of the content on her channel is insane. I mean, for Juneteenth, while she was pregnant, she was walking around handing out watermelons to black people.
I'm looking for some black people to celebrate Juneteenth. I'm a little nervous. I don't know how they're going to react. But in honor of Juneteenth, I wanted to give you this watermelon. Thanks. Okay, I hope you enjoy.
Great success.
We just gave a black person a watermelon for Juneteenth. What did you do?
So since she met her husband, this is basically what her career is like now. You know, this girl is such a mess. And it's funny because she tries so hard to be this edgy troll and it doesn't work either. You know, that video has like a couple hundred views maybe. So she's just embarrassing herself for nothing. You know, it's just so desperate and pathetic. And it seems like she's just becoming more and more unhinged.
Stage 4 cancer, there's a reason why no man wants you. Because he wants to pull your hair, bitch.
Yeah, so she sounds like a classy lady there. You know, this is definitely the picture-perfect traditional wife. I mean, it's so funny to hear her try to act like she's this submissive, quiet, traditional wife. Meanwhile, she's on the internet acting like a lunatic for attention. And then also you tell she gets so jealous whenever another girl gets a lot of attention. Like she reacted to Joe Rogan talking about the Hawk to a girl and Joe thought she's really funny and he's like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. Like he was all into her. So of course Isabella was all jealous and pretty much every comment noticed. And she's like, Joe, you're so gross. Like, would you want to marry somebody like that? What does your wife think of this? Like you're disrespecting her. But it's like, how about you focus on your own husband? Like, shouldn't you be feeding him or changing his diaper or something? You know, like clearly Joe's wife does not give a shit. I mean, the guy's bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. As long as he's taking care of her, I'm sure she's all good. Because unlike Isabella's husband, Joe's actually the dominant one in the relationship. Like he's actually in control. I mean, the guy does whatever he wants and his wife, she's more private. I don't know if she even has social media. There are like very few pictures of her. Nobody really knows anything about her. So he's definitely in the more traditional relationship and he doesn't need to prove it either. I mean, people know that without him constantly having to prove it like Isabella's husband.
You see the simping? I would be into her. Okay, Joe, but would you marry her? Would you wife up a bitch like that? Obviously not. So can the simping stop? But yeah, it's gross. And Joe Rogan, you're married. Like, what do you think your wife thinks when she's watching this clip? Like, oh, hi, honey, I just said that I would be very excited to get a BJ from this random southern hoe online. Like, what? I mean, it's utterly embarrassing, to say the least.
Yeah, so she's just so jealous. I mean, she's acting like she's this prude and she's all class. But when she was the Hawk to a girl's age, it sounded like she was even more wild than her. You know, it's funny. She says, would you marry somebody like that? Because her husband did. You know, he didn't seem to care too much about her past and he was simping for her. So if this is what she thinks, I don't know how she could respect her husband. But let me know what you guys think about it all down in the comment section. And then make sure you go check out my Patreon account. There's a ton of extra content there. Over 90 exclusive videos. I post a new one every week. They're all mostly over 20 minutes long. So there's a lot of content to go through. If you like the channel, make sure you check it out. There's a link in the description.